Other interesting cultural news, you have Walgreens to close their fourth location in Boston, and some are accusing them of racism. Now, this comes from a profile by the name of End Wokeness on X Twitter, and as youth might say, it went viral to say the least, getting over 3.4 million views in the first 24 hours of posting and 21,000 likes, which is quite a few likes. Now, it looks like they have a quick video from actually the former head of the NAACP, and the text before the video says, quote, Walgreens is closing its fourth location in Boston in the black area of Roxbury, a neighborhood plagued by theft. Residents are outraged and shocked. Former NAACP president to stores, quote, do what's right for these communities and beyond your bottom line, unquote. And without further ado, it's only about a minute and a second long. Oh, unless the Twitter or X mute button is on. Let me change the computer really quick. Apologies.
Why do you think they target black and brown communities?
I think because they get no pushback. But they're now getting pushback.
Protesting alongside dozens of other frustrated customers fighting to keep this Walgreens open.
Don't we need to have something in the community to help the black, the elderly, the sick? You know what I'm saying? They can't go far.
The problem boils down to accessibility, says former Boston NAACP president turned healthcare advocate Michael Curry.
The communities where they're closing these pharmacies are communities where people are disparately impacted by disease, 2 or 3 times higher rates in cancer, diabetes, heart disease, where life expectancy can be 15, 20 years less.
While this isn't the only Walgreens or pharmacy chain set to close location in the coming weeks, Curry says it begs this question.
What is your obligation? What is your expectation as a corporate citizen to do what's right for those communities beyond what's right just for your bottom line?
Ow, my eye. It hurt. I rolled my eyes so much, I almost rolled back completely. And I say that because, again, a lot of people are trying to correlate to race, or it has nothing, in my opinion, it has nothing to do with that, because an overwhelming majority of businesses know the best way to reach the best profit is to appeal to the largest demographic. That's everyone. And so if you look at historically the most successful businesses in history, they treated all their customers equally. I mean, think about all these companies where if you want, there are a couple of companies where they have niche products, where they'll have a product that is narrow in demand, and they'll create a niche for themselves. And they will make a profit, but they'll never be the largest companies on the planet. They'll never be like someone like Apple or Exxon, where they'll sell to anyone. And those are some of the most successful companies in history. Now, in this case, we've also seen this with Walmart. They got critiqued when they were closing down, I forget it was their 4th or 5th location in Chicago, where they were closing it down. Some people were saying it was race. If you look at the financial results and you talk to Walmart representatives, they let it slip. They never made a profit in 17 years of operation at that Walmart store. In 17 years, they lost money every single year. And the number one reason was theft. And not only that, the employees are being harassed and attacked, which again is not a safe area. And again, that's just asking for, and again, we live in a very ridiculously litigious society. Excuse me. That just leads to more lawsuits, and it's kind of like San Francisco. It's a vicious cycle where the district attorneys, they don't prosecute these thieves. I mean, how many videos have we seen of people just tearing, and people of all races just completely looting a store? Hilariously and ironically, and maybe dark humor, there's an instance where CNN was interviewing someone at Walmart in San Francisco, and during the interview, they had 2 people just walk into the store with garbage bags, take a bunch of makeup and other unnecessary products, put it in the bag, and just walk out. No one stopped them. And they literally asked the manager, like, hey, is that someone stealing? Yeah. And in that case, you partially get what you vote for, because they voted to make it not a felony to steal up to $950. So to clarify, it used to be a felony, and the way the police system works with the government in terms of an overwhelming majority of the time when it comes to prosecutions is they don't want to go to trial. They want a quick settlement. They just want to get it done with. So instead of going to court and fighting it out, taking time and resources, they just want you to take a plea deal. Now, traditionally, in order to incentivize that, they would have you plead down for something. So it was a felony in California and San Francisco. If you stole up to $950, they decided to turn that into a misdemeanor. So instead of having a felony and pleading down a misdemeanor, now it's a misdemeanor, and they're pleading down to even something lesser, or in some cases nothing, as the district attorneys just let them go wild and they go back to the streets. Again, those businesses are bleeding money. They just can't afford it. Target alone, they was estimated to lose $400 million in 2023 because of retail theft. That is a combination of not just traditional employee, it's called shrink, or shrink, there's a couple specific, industry terms for that, shrinkage. But it's an industry thing where you have employees stealing, you have customers stealing, you also have organized theft. And these, I don't think I'm alone in my assessment here when, again, I don't think it has anything to do with race. It has everything to do with the financial viabilities of the companies as well as the safety and security of their employees. It's all about culture. And there are a myriad of reasons why there are problems. I would also point out that it's fascinating to see there's a a video trending on X Twitter where they showed Harlem in the 1930s before, many people say it's a coincidence, is before you had so many government programs, government handouts and incentives not to work or stay married. And truth be told, it was beautiful. Everyone, as you all know, men always look best when they suit up. And the streets were clean. I mean, there's very low crime. I mean, it's been a huge shift, culturally speaking, in many communities. And again, perhaps I'm alone in this assessment. Maybe they think Walgreens should just lose money perpetually by having locations that are losing money in dangerous areas. But let's go in the comments and find out. And again, within 24 hours, that got 3.8 million views and 21,000 likes earlier this week. So as I scroll down, see here, Gift from the Gab says, quote, here's a positive role model, and is a picture of Dr. Ben Carson. And he says, quote, as a surgeon, I hand operated on infants pre-birth. I can assure you they are very much alive, unquote. That got 2.6 thousand likes. And granted, it's not very much relevant to the issue of Walgreens losing money or theft. It's so a great role model that is an impressive doctor I know a lot of people appreciate. There's a lot of rumors that he might get back into politics, and there's a lot of rumors maybe Trump VP. There's a lot of speculation in that regard. So I think that's another reason we're seeing his likeness and him being mentioned more on social media. Let's see here. One of the first comments that's not, apologies, that's not about Ben Carson calls from Paul A. Zuspila. And again, I need to just message this guy because he is consistent. We see him as one of the most liked responses on many of these X Twitter posts, especially when it comes to political as well, which we'll get that in New York Minute. And Paul Zuspila says, quote, NAACP wants stores to just give products away and go out of business. This is Marxism and the redistribution of wealth. It's what lazy people think is right. These adults are a result of growing up without a competent father at home, unquote. That got 4.9 thousand likes. Interestingly enough, someone by the name of Hard-Boiled Egg, with profile picture is A+ for marketing, is in fact a picture of a hard-boiled egg with an American flag on it. However, I don't think eggs can type yet. It says alleged hard-boiled egg says, quote, when this is what Walgreens has to deal with, I'm not surprised, unquote. And there's a video of many people, looks like, many people, of course none of them are wearing suits, but they're all wearing black hoodies, black pants, pandemic mask, and they're just walking in, like I said earlier, with garbage bags and stealing copious amounts of makeup from the Walgreens and just walking out, not paying for it. That got 1.8 thousand likes. Now, interestingly enough, in this specific instance, they did not get violent, but again, that's also one of the big risks. We've seen a lot of the videos where looters are going to Target, they're smashing machines, they're breaking windows. It's quite a big risk, especially when you have such inept companies that don't prosecute theft, which thereby incentivizes it. And you have some companies that are so morally vacuous, they don't even allow employees to defend themselves. And some are even more morally vacuous, but they don't even allow you to defend yourself, which is why I was just patroning there. Now, someone by the name of Branos says, quote, good job, libs, hand salute emoji. And it's a picture of Jim from The Office with the juxtaposition of the two clipboards where one he's pointing at it and the other one he's smiling. The first picture is, quote, you elected people who embolden criminals, inflate the currency, and cause layoffs. The juxtaposition says, quote, now your favorite store chain is closing locations, locking their goods behind glass, and you can't find help in the store, unquote. They got 2.6 thousand likes, and is a good reference to, yes, many of these stores are literally putting toothpaste behind glass. Which, ironically enough, I don't know if a lot of people actually steal toothpaste. But nevertheless, they're putting, I know a couple locations where it's Walgreens, they put every product is behind locked glass. Everything. Though, you probably leave the Bibles out. That perhaps be the most ironic thing for someone to steal. Granted, I don't think anyone has actually stolen the Bible, now that I think about it. You could probably leave, actually books in general, you probably leave those out. But nevertheless, do one or two more comments here. And I'm trying to see if there's any, because again, I want to look at both sides of the issues. And I'm reading the top comments, and thus far there's no contrarian statements yet. So there's no one agreeing with this individual for the folks being interviewed, as well as a statement from the former head of the NAACP. Now, this comes from Planet of Memes, where I don't want to say epic fail for marketing, but they did not reply in meme form, but they did in fact type their response out. So let's say this alleged Planet of Memes says, quote, "How about the leaders of the black communities start taking some responsibility for the actions of those who caused all the havoc? You can't blame these companies for pulling out," unquote. They got 1.8 thousand likes. Now, it's one of those instances where as much, I believe, is a big mindset. And again, this isn't exclusive to the NAACP, the community. In this case, it's getting a lot of attention, I think, partially because of the former head speaking out. But it's one of those things where anyone who's dependent on the government, if you've had government benefits from day one, no matter what your race is, you're going to have an entitlement mentality, I believe, and you're just going to have the expectation that good things just come to you in life. And you seem more morally vacuous, and you see the government actually incentivizing that mindset with giving them more free things, and all they ask is your uninvited loyalty by voting for them, which I think most people would say is bribery, but that's not brought up enough, unfortunately. Now, as Kazar says, quote, "Hey, NAACP, looting has consequences. Voting in weak politicians has its consequences. Billions being stolen from stores and nothing is done to stop these thieves. You want your stores and communities, stop the crime," unquote. That got 2.4 thousand likes, which, again, is also an issue of who you vote for, because a lot of these district attorneys, they just don't prosecute crime. They literally let them walk away and get away with pretty much anything. We've even seen instances where you had two mentally morally vacuous people burn a Wendy's franchise, and they're fined like $200 a piece in some community service for destroying a building. And especially, it's even more disgusting when you figure most of these fast food franchises are family owned, they're small businesses. It's not actually owned by the big parent company. Now, we'll do one or two more quotes here. Someone by the name of Western Lensman says, quote, I guess he has a quote within a quote. So he says, quote, "Please run a charity organization despite our city doing everything in its power to drive you out of business and endanger your employees," unquote, unquote. They got 3.4 thousand likes. The Appalachian podcast says, quote, "Why are they addressing the stores and not the community? Shouldn't the people do what's right for their communities?" Unquote. That got 3.6 thousand likes. XI, I believe it looks to be like an Asian American. I'm gonna guess it's and again, I'm terrible with pronunciations. If you correct me in the comment section, I appreciate the feedback and I'll work on it. So I'm guessing this is a G Van Fleet, and G says, quote, "Where is NAACP when stores are looted by thugs?" Unquote. They got 4.7 thousand likes. Now, American Free Thinker, they actually posted the video of is a video capture. Was it the 1930s? It was a long time ago, but it's a video of Harlem where you see everyone walking around. The streets are clean. It's astonishing. Men are suited up as every man should by default. It is astonishing how far society has fallen. And that did get 486 likes. So again, I think a lot of people equate this to race. I think it's overwhelmingly much more about local communities, culture, incentivization structures from the government. And again, all the mechanisms by the government are set in place to incentivize these actions of getting freebies from the government. I don't see that ending anytime soon because of the incentive structure, because they will continue to vote for them. Because if you're getting incentives from the government, you just vote to keep getting more and more of them. So who are you going to vote for? The guy who wants you to actually accept responsibility and work, or the other side that will expect you to just get free stuff perpetually? It's it's one of those things where I don't see that shifting anytime soon. Perhaps we will have a cultural shift in the United States where it is fascinating. I mean, if you were to say anything about immigration, people would lambast you and bombastically deplore you or try to insult you by calling you Republican. You're seeing some Democrat city leaders, including Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, they're actually starting to bring up the fact that, hey, they're overwhelmed with immigration or illegal immigration specifically. And that's one of the biggest issues about illegal immigration. There are a myriad of things, but it's also resource allocation. The cities don't have the resources to appropriately handle them and help them. And in addition to morally breaking the laws, there's a lot of issues, obviously, many variables. And I was going to say, not point of contention, but unpopular belief or contrary to popular belief, I actually, or not me, my family actually flew here from Cuba. It's one of the last planes out, so we did not in fact swim, and we came here legally. But fun fact of the day, it'll be interesting to see if there's a cultural shift where people start to accept responsibility or start to see these issues where, again, it's not sustainable. And these businesses are leaving, again, for fiscal reasons and safety reasons. And they're not going to come back. I can't see them coming back anytime soon. Especially when you look at the size scale of these buildings. It's not like it's a small, pop-up tent. These stores are millions upon millions of dollars in investments. I mean, not just to design the store, but the material costs, the construction costs, the maintenance costs. And you got internet, electric. There's a lot of things that go into these stores. And you have to hire employees who usually more often not work locally. That's another huge expense as well. So it is a huge gamble to set up a new store. And if you see historically, this location has failed, similar to, you see this, like a lot of people call it the kiss of death with restaurants. If you see a restaurant in the same exact location, and every 6 to 12 months it's a different restaurant name, but that just keeps going out of business, I mean, it almost becomes an area where businesses will strategically avoid because of the historicals on it. So let me know in the comments, what do you think it would take to have a cultural shift so that is actually a decrease in theft, so that these businesses they have an incentive to come back? Then do you think they ever will come back? As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of January, so if you click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, leave a comment, a thumbs up or thumbs down appropriately will give me some additional feedback on how I can make the show better and better. Also, and lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, to your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.